Donald Sutherland. Jennifer Lawrence. Julianne Moore. And producer Nina Jacobson.
Is it that way around? Which way
This
is
one
it?
here we go. Just, yeah, there we go. Right up to the end.
Keep doing this.
Morning.
Turn the cards around.
You guys don't think that I do.
You got the right one? Here we go. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. I'm going to start with you, Natalie, if that's okay, please.
Sure thing.
How does it feel to have directed Jennifer Lawrence?
Pretty effing cool. Francis was really great. He just said, if you want to tell Jen to go slightly to the right or the left or, stop or a starter, then feel free to ad-lib, which was very gracious of him and freeing for me, because else I was just standing there pretending to look at a monitor a lot. And Jen was always great, stayed in character, and a few of those organic moments made it into the movie, so it was great for me.
She was a great director.
Donald, you sit there and it just terrifies me because he's President Snow, waiting for the rose instead of the poppy, but it's thankfully a poppy today. I want to ask if you guys did much preparation between yourself and Jen in terms of preparing for those moments where you were on screen together.
2 years.
Or did you keep your distance ahead of them?
We're not allowed to disclose that. No, we didn't do anything. We went to work, We prepared ourselves for the role, and
I don't really find that my personal relationship with people affects the characters, really. I mean, it's like
they're
you said, it's
characters,
just work. We were mostly focused on our dating relationship.
Well, Jen, I want to ask you, maybe that was one of the biggest surprises from this experience was dating Donald Sutherland. But for you, what was the biggest surprise from being part of this incredible journey? What has surprised you the most?
Surprised?
Yeah.
Me?
What have you come away being surprised about?
I mean, this isn't like when I was 20 and I signed on to these, I kind of knew, I was like, okay, this is a long road and you're going to have moments of regrets. But I ultimately think that this is the right thing to do. And I was like, I'm going to be 25 by the time all this is over. Like, that'll never happen. And so I think what surprises me is how upset I was when I wrapped. When I signed them, I was like, okay, it's 5 years, you'll get through it. And I was so sad to go. And I never had one moment of regret like I thought I would. I really have genuinely loved being a part of these movies and have never looked back.
Thank you. Julianne, President Coin. I kind of constantly think about her backstory, kind of where she came from and who and what made her into the person that she is. Is that something that you kind of thought about and talked about?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, Francis and I talked about it a lot, and we talked about how do you illustrate this kind of political narrative, which is obviously a very familiar one. Historically, someone starts out as a true revolutionary, someone who is speaking for the people and wants to, and really wants change, and then over the course of her journey, becomes corrupted by power and her desire for revenge and ends up as much of a despot as the person she's trying to overthrow. So that to me was really interesting and really wonderful to put in the context of this very personal story of this young woman trying to figure out where her moral center was and how she determines right from wrong. So I loved doing it and welcomed the opportunity to get to work with all these great people.
Thank you.
I'll also chime in and say that Julianne actually brought a lot of ideas to the character. Julianne was somebody who loved the books and very much wanted to play Coin, and from the very beginning, her ideas actually informed how we wrote the character, because in the books, because they're all from Katniss's point of view, you only ever see Coin through Katniss's eyes, and Katniss has a young person's perspective on this authoritarian figure. And so I think the Coin of the movies is a much more fully realized and dimensionalized character, which is something I know Suzanne was thrilled about, was the chance. The chance to see, a side of the character that you can't see when you're seeing her through Katniss's eyes, but Julianne brought really a lot of her own ideas to the character, and we were all excited to see how much more humanity, I think, Coyne has as a character because of that.
And I wanted that idea, I think especially for young people, that idea, I think that we've all felt this when we feel politically disillusioned. You're like, wait a minute, I thought it was this way, and you're telling me it wasn't? So I thought that was sort of an important idea, and I think it's so resonant in Suzanne's novels.
Great, thank you. Before we throw out to the press, we've got a couple of competition winners and also a young lady who's been invited along this morning from Make-A-Wish charity. So I'm going to give Sarah the first question. So Sarah, if you'd like to stand up and we'll get a microphone to you, please, and ask away. Thank you for being here.
Jen, what has been your favourite moment on set out of all 4 films?
Oh, God. We met last night, didn't we?
Yeah.
Hi. Good to see you again. Favorite moment? Well, it's hard because Josh and I always want to say Hawaii for Catching Fire because we were in Hawaii, but Liam wasn't there. So when the whole group wasn't together, it couldn't be as fun. In Berlin, we had a really good time. All of us were all staying in the same apartment building, and we were all on the same floor, and nobody locked their doors. Woody woke me up one morning. I had my mouth guard in. I was like, and Josh and Liam got in a tug-of-war fight with their mouths that went on for 15 minutes. We just had a really, I guess Berlin, because we were all together and all kind of living in the same place.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, that wasn't a filming, but I'm done.
Thank you, Sarah. We got 2 competition winners. First up, Olivia, if you'd like to stand up, please, and ask your question, please.
This is for Jennifer. Was there any added pressure playing one of the only strong female characters in films?
Yeah, I mean, just pressure that came from, I really loved this character. I really respected her. And when I read the books, I found her so inspiring. She inspired me. So I had my own kind of personal pressure of doing a good job and living up to her and having this character fully developed. So yeah, there was definitely a certain pressure that I was more than happy to take on and was honored to be a part of.
Thank you. And our final competition question is from Karina. Hi, Karina. Do you want to stand up? There's to your left, there's a microphone. There you go. Oh, there you go.
This is a general question. What have you all learned since the first Hunger Games?
Natalie, do you want to answer since you've been part of this in terms of what you've learned from being part of this project?
I've learned that they don't have to be 2 mutually exclusive things to be a mega blockbuster and to have some real meaning and message in a movie. I think in a story. I think Hunger Games as a phenomenon has rewritten the rule book of what can be commercially viable, and it's long overdue that a franchise can have such important messages and hope to inspire a younger generation and still make the money men their money and still get the bums on seats. But so hopefully it's about the quality of the writing, as Nina always so eloquently talks about Suzanne Collins, so that we can be more sophisticated and more respectful of our audiences when we make big blockbusters.
Brilliant. What a great answer. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to open to the floor now. Everyone's floored by that one. Yeah? Here we go. Gentleman in the second row, please.
It's Ben Lee from The Guardian. For a film of this scale, it's surprisingly bleak. What do you think it says about the time that we're in that The Blockbuster This Dark is being released?
That the purpose of the what?
For a film of this scale, it's surprisingly bleak. For a film, given the time that we're in, what do you think it says that we're making a blockbuster this dark?
Donald. Nina wants you to answer that one.
Me? I didn't understand the question. I'm sorry, I don't understand anything that people are saying, actually.
He's saying, what do you think it is about this time that we would make a blockbuster so bleak? What is it about?
It's necessary. It's the bleakest of times. if that was your question, is why is a blockbuster so bleak? I don't think it's bleak. I think it's very optimistic, to be truthful. But the lead up to that optimistic moment is bleak because these times are bleak, and this is an allegory for this time. It's an effort on the part of Suzanne Collins and on everyone making this film, participating in it, to inform young people. I mean, for older people, it's too late. But for young people, to catalyze within them some kind of political action that will engage them in participation that will change the status quo. Our conditions are very bleak. We have wars everywhere. We have uprisings that are failing. We have a climate that is destroying our world. And if we don't change it, and the only people who can change it are young people, if we don't change it, we're all dead. So that's what it is. That's why it was made. And it can change. It's just up to you guys.
Thank you so much.
And we hope that this film would make you aware of that.
Great. You were right to nod to Donald to answer that question. Great answer. Thank you. Next question, please, from our audience. First lady in the row in the middle. Thank you.
Hi, it's Sarah from jabberjuice.net. My question's for Jennifer. I love in this franchise that Katniss's relationships are sort of secondary to like everything else that's going on. What lesson about love do you think young watchers can take from the story of Katniss and Peeta?
Our conversation about the relationships and the romance between Katniss and Peeta and Katniss and Gale is that these kids are living in a time that we don't recognize. They're dealing with problems that are so much bigger than they are, that they don't have the luxury of a first kiss or having or wondering if he likes her too, or what, all of these things that we kind of take for granted. They just don't have that. They're living in such a different world. That was always the biggest conversation that we had with them, but also Peeta represents comfort to Katniss. Katniss is a warrior at the end of these movies. She's a veteran. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want excitement. She doesn't want another warrior or hunter like Gale. Peeta represents the life that Katniss has sought through all of these movies. Is just peace and a safe family.
Thank you. Gentleman at the end, please.
It's another question for Jennifer. I'm just wondering, when you're playing a character like this who's so strong-willed and so sort of inspiring, do you ever, and someone you've played for a number of years, do you ever find that she almost infiltrates your personal life? Are you ever faced with a decision you almost think, what would Katniss do in this situation?
No, I'm not, and this is really annoying because because somebody asked me, they were talking about gender pay gap, and they were like, do you feel like your character inspired you to write about gender pay gap? And I was just like, yeah, I mean, I've been playing her for 4 years. And then, it's on, Time magazine, Katniss Everdeen influenced Jennifer Lawrence to write an essay about, and it's like, God, you can't just, say anything. Characters are separate from you. They also come from you. I find Katniss inspiring, period. When I read the books and the script, and it began, embodying, or whatever. Everything about her is to inspire. That's why she's the Mockingjay. That's why she's a leader. So, of course, I was inspired, but I don't WWKD.
There's a famous primitive painter, now dead in the United States, who was asked a question. Her name is Grandma Moses. And they said, what do you think about this? And she said, I don't know what I think until I hear what I say. Mm. And it's a little bit like that as an actor. You're not influenced by your character until your character appears in front of you. It's not you. It's something that you have channeled and that appears and participates in your life. So you are influenced in that respect, I believe.
That is so true. There have been so many times where I'll see things, whatever, you're totally...
What?
Nothing. I don't want to waste time. But you're totally right.
You realize that when we started this, I was nearly 4 times your age, and now I'm just barely more than 3 times your age.
Handy now that you're dating. Lady at the back.
Hi, thank you. Hannah Furness from the Daily Telegraph. I just wondered if we could expand a little on what you were saying earlier, Natalie, about how this franchise shows respect for audiences and the things that you've got right. I just wondered whether you could elaborate to say exactly what you think this has got right, where others have got wrong, and what any of the actors on the panel would like to see films in the future take as a lesson. I don't know whether you meant it was the representation of women or ethnic minorities, or what you mean.
Well, there's a list of what this franchise has got right.
Good.
You know,
Go.
there's a long list. What you were asking me about before was that it's not condescending, it's not patronizing to its younger audience, and fully understands and appreciates that they can process all these and cathartically explore ideas of the consequences of war, tyrannical oppression, liberty, a human being struggling with their sense of self-identity, questions of love and loss, sacrifice. It doesn't sugarcoat any of them. Donald said something very interesting in our previous conference that is true. Donald said that Francis Lawrence has made a movie which lacks sentimentality. And this overwhelming need often that Hollywood has to maybe sugarcoat things to make them more palatable ultimately doesn't help our younger generation. They've got so much to deal with, whether it be climate change or, education fees to basically get a standard education, and austerity. They've got so much on their plate. Don't be lying to them about what the world's really like. It doesn't help them. Give them an opportunity in a movie like this to explore how they handle the future, basically. But then the other list includes fantastic 3-dimensional characters for both genders, so on, so forth, yes.
Nina, as a producer, does it kind of, the success of this franchise and these films and the way that Natalie's described them, does that give you, I guess, fuel to go onwards as a producer to kind of almost, take on that kind of mantle that this film's done to other films that you work on?
Absolutely. I mean, this film has been, I think an extraordinary privilege for all of us. For one, because we've so connected with the material, but we've connected with each other. And it sets a bar that's a very high bar in terms of the kind of experiences that you want to have. But I think, I've always felt that audiences are smart, young people are smart, and they deserve better than often what we provide in Hollywood. And, this movie has been a great reinforcement of that ambition that audiences are every bit as ambitious as filmmakers will let them be, and that it's on all of us to keep aspiring and keep demanding that we raise the bar, and not to be not to pander and not to patronize ever. And I think also when it comes to adaptation, when you find something that is special and great, to do justice to it, and that to never forget the origins of the opportunity.
Great. Thank you so much. Congratulations on this final film. It's a bittersweet moment, but thank you so much for being here today. Thank you to our audience as well today. Can we have a huge round of applause for our conference this morning, please? Nina Jacobson, Julianne Moore, Jennifer Lawrence, Donald Sutherland, and Natalie Dormer. Thank you, ladies and gents. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey